Attack on Titan is an animated show and manga series that pushes the limits. It makes us question good guys, bad guys, and even the very concept of black and white storytelling, while also managing to tell an action-packed, surprisingly dark and engaging story that shows us that sometimes those who have power are the most powerless in this world. Unless you're Eren Jaeger, in which case you have all the power of the Titans, friendship, and Grayskull on your side, and all Reiner can do is cry about it in a hole somewhere. To celebrate this wonderful series and the third part of the final season, which will drop March 4th of this year, we're gonna go over everything there is to know about the history of Attack on Titan.
Welcome to the Amagi! Before we begin, we publish a new video every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. Also, we just released some brand new merch. If you'd like to show your support for the channel even further while at the same time repping stylish clothing, be sure to check that out as well. The store is linked below. YouTube's been unsubscribing users from channels lately, so if you're a fan of us, please do us a favor and double check to see if you're still subscribed. It only takes a second, and it helps us a ton here at Amagi. And with that out of the way, let's get into the video.
Before we start out, it needs to be explained that Attack on Titan has its own calendar that they use, which can be seen in the first chapter and episode of the series, in which case it's noted to be the year 845. What this calendar is actually measuring from is unknown to us, but we do have a calendar. However, many events actually happened long before this, with at least one important event being noted to have happened 2,000 years in the past from the series' first episode. So for those events that transpire before the calendar, we're going to add the letters BSC, which stands for Before Standard Calendar. With this cleared up, let's begin. Unknown point in time to 1003 BSC. The Eldian Empire begins to come to power. In a small village somewhere in modern-day Marley, a young girl named Ymir gathers water in her pail as she watches the horseback riders coming in, with the heads of the village's warriors on pikes. The king takes command of the village and enslaves all who live within, removing the tongues of many of them. During this time, Ymir is stationed as a feeder of the pigs, in which she accidentally opens the gate and allows one to escape. The pig is later found dead, and the king demands to know who it was that did it, threatening to remove an eye from everyone there if they refuse to tell. They all pin it on Ymir. As punishment, he frees her from being a slave and instead turns her into prey for a mock fox hunt. They give her a head start and begin to chase her down, firing arrows into her in attempts to kill her. Wounded and bloody, she makes her way into a massive hollowed-out tree where she accidentally falls into an underground aquifer, where she comes into contact with a strange hallucinogenia that merges with her spine. In exchange for becoming host to it, it grants her full control over her form, which she instinctively uses to take the form of a massive creature of, and don't quote me on this, about 250 meters. This thing is witnessed by the hunters. Ymir, with this new power, instead of being free, decides to go back to the Eldians and offer her powers to the king in exchange for becoming his personal servant. He accepts. 995 BSC. Ymir continues to help the king of Eldia and begins to destroy his enemies and expand his empire. She helps in the creation of roads and infrastructure as well, which earns her favor with the king, who takes her to be his wife, granting her the surname Fritz and allows her to bear his children. These children he names Sina, Rose, and Maria. 990 BSC. King Fritz sits upon his throne looking over his soldiers when one recruited from a fallen kingdom stands and throws his spear at the king. Without a moment's hesitation, Ymir throws herself in front of the king and takes the shot for him. The king commands her to get up and heal, stating that she knows she can regenerate. However, the tired Ymir instead chooses to succumb to her injuries. As a result, the king, unwilling to lose the power of the Titans, has her body butchered and force-fed to his 3 daughters who each inherit Titan powers, giving birth to the additional 8 Titans besides the founding Titan. Ymir also at this time begins existing in the extra-dimensional plane known as the Paths, where she witnesses a tree of light sprout 3 branches, signifying that 3 more Titans are born. From here, she works tirelessly to build them bodies upon command, remaining a slave to King Fritz even in death. Unknown point in time. The daughters of the king bequeath their Titans to their own heirs 13 years after inheriting them due to the curse their mother put on the Titans that indicate that anyone bearing her powers will die 13 years after inheriting them, the same number of years she lived before dying saving the king. The Fritz family would maintain control of the founder and would later bequeath the remaining 8 to noble families bearing Ymir's blood. At some point in time, the families each begin to wage war, trying to take the Titans from the other noble families, creating an all-out battle royale within the government, which the Fritz family manages to stop due to the power of the founding Titans. The Ackerman clan are later born to become the sword and shield of the Fritz family, and are specifically altered to be unable to be affected by the Founding Titans' powers. 370 BSC. The supposed events, the fall of Lago, the devastation of Monta, and the ravaging of Vala are claimed to have happened by the Marleyan historians. However, this set of events is disputed to be false. Current era. Year 240. A pandemic washes over the world, which devastates the population. In response to this, the King of Eldia uses the power of the Founding Titan to alter the biology of every Eldian to give them immunity to the new disease. This allows the subject of Ymir to grow even more plenteous, as not a single Eldian dies of this new sickness while the world is ravaged. Year 700 to 780. The nation of Hizuru allies with Eldia, however, Karl Fritz soon inherits the Founding Titan. Disgusted by the bloody history on which Eldia was built, he denounces his nation and its usage of the Titans, and conspires with the Tiber family to begin a war with which the Founding Titan will appear to be overthrown. They concoct the story of the Marleyan Helos and wage war in which the Founding Titan and many of his loyal subjects flee across the sea to an island which he names his new paradise. A place he hopes to enjoy until the world's justice catches up with the Eldian sins and destroys them. He invites many of Hizuru's Shogun clan to join them, forming the Asian clan with which Mikasa is born. Many of the Eldians outside of the loop decide to stay in Eldia where they wage war. With the Founding Titan gone, infighting begins to occur in the Eldian government, which the Marleyans take as an opportunity to free themselves. As the 8 houses fight each other, Marley unites under the banner of the Tiber family's Warhammer Titan, and begins to take down the other houses and slowly grant the powers to the Marleyans, who take up the power of the Titans to further defeat Eldia. They manage to take all 8 Titans and bring an official end to the Eldian Empire, sweeping over the continent, returning the glory of Marley. Elsewhere on Paradise, the king, Karl Fritz, decides to form a massive fortress where all Eldians will live, and thus takes some of the Eldians and turns them into Colossus Titans that he commands to harden into the walls Maria, Rose, and Sina. He further creates pure Titans outside of the walls to stand as sentinels against any invading forces. He issues a decree to the world to lie in wait. With any attempt to destroy the peace he's built, he will unleash his wall Titans on the world in a massive rumbling and destroy everyone. This, of course, is an empty threat meant to buy time. Hizuru would then take a hit in status due to Eldia going belly up. King Karl Fritz then renounces all war and binds the power of the Founding Titan by his oath, to which no future inheritors may use it for war ever again. Only the Fritz family in Marley and the Tiber family know of his secret oath. After this, Karl Fritz uses the power of the Founder to wipe the memories of all Eldians on Paradise, and puts forward a false history that the world beyond the walls was killed by the Titans. The only groups within Paradise not affected are the royal bloodline, who inherit the memories of the Founder, the Ackerman clan, who were augmented by the Founder to be immune to its influence, and the Asian clan, who were not of Eldian blood at all. Karl Fritz grants noble status to the Ackerman clan and the Asian clan in exchange for their silence, but it doesn't take, and the royal family has both clans hunted down and exterminated to keep this secret. The Marleyans begin to study Titan biology and come to learn that the Founding Titan connects all Titans via the paths that are invisible to the naked eye, and that these paths converge on the Founding Titan. Thus, the Marleyans codename the Founder as Coordinate. Year 780 to 785. Eldians within Marley found a cult dedicated to Ymir Fritz, and try to bring about more members by claiming that a little homeless girl is the incarnation of Ymir herself. This brings many members, and the little girl, now named Ymir, is treated like royalty by the Eldians, until the group is busted up by the Marleyan government 5 years later, and all included, including Ymir, are sent to Paradise and transformed into pure Titans to wander the land between the sea and the walls for eternity. Year 806 to 835. Eren Jaeger is born in an Eldian internment camp and is soon followed by his little sister named Faye. Together they wander out of the internment zone to witness an airship's return and are found by 2 Marleyan officers, one of which is Eren Kruger. Kruger's partner volunteers to take Faye home, while Kruger decides to deal with Grisha personally, asking whether he would rather work in the mines to pay off his debt to society or just get a brutal beating instead. Grisha chooses the beating and receives what he asks for. Kruger then tells him to wait and watch the airship, since he traveled so far and got beat so hard just to see him. Grisha does, but returning home he's horrified to hear that Faye was killed, mauled to death by Marleyan guard dogs. Grisha's parents blame him for the incident. Kruger would then go on to inherit the Attack Titan and become known as the Eldian Restorationist, the Owl. Grisha Jaeger, disillusioned with Marleyan society since the murder of his sister, joins the Eldian Restorationists. During this time, he meets Dina Fritz, the last surviving pure-blooded royal in Eldia, and the two marry and bear a son that they name Ezekiel. Alright, the name might be headcanon, but Zeke is generally short for Ezekiel, and I like that name. On Paradise, Erwin Smith's father becomes a school teacher to which his son attends the school. Smith's father puts forward a theory in secret to his son that the history of the world doesn't make sense, and may be fabricated by the government to hide the truth. Erwin naively tells his friends, who tell their parents. Word gets around and the government takes away Smith's father. Erwin never sees his father again. In this same time span, Frida Reese is born, and Tom Xarver inherits the Beast Titan. The same year that Tom inherits the Beast Titan, 829 to be exact, Uri Rice inherits the Founding Titan from his father. Kenny Ackerman, one of the few surviving Ackerman clansmen, learns of the persecution of his clan, and sets out to assassinate the king that he discovers to be Uri Reese. Kenny fails, and Rod begs his brother to kill Kenny, but instead Uri forgives his assailant, apologizes for the crimes committed against his clan, and invites him to join the 1st Interior Squad. During this time, Kenny joins a group of followers who worship the Founding Titan, and Kenny becomes jealous of the peace that Uri possesses and begins to covet the Founding Titan's powers. Marley then begins to covet the resources under Paradise Island, and prepares to train Eldian children to become inheritors of 7 of the 8 Titans that it has, promising full citizenship to the Eldian and their family upon completion of their training. After learning of this from Kruger, Grisha forces Zeke to try out, but Zeke is not strong enough and begins to fail, causing disappointment in his father. He questions the Eldian Restorationists, but Grisha, in an attempt to disindoctrinate his son of the Marleyan propaganda, begins to force Eldian dogma onto his son, which puts him into a tougher spot. Hearing of the Marleyan Public Security Agency's advances in finding the Eldian Restorationists, Zeke attempts to get his parents to quit, but they refuse. Terrified, Zeke confides in Tom Xarver, who recommends telling the authorities. To save his own skin and the skin of his grandparents, Zeke makes the hard choice of turning his parents in, which earns him the trust of the Marleyan government, who name him the next heir to the Beast Titan. Grisha and Dina are taken to Paradise, where their comrades are all turned into pure Titans. Last of all, Dina is turned into a pure Titan, and Grisha is forced to watch. However, before Grisha can be turned, Kruger turns into the Attack Titan and routs the Marleyan forces there and transfers the mission to reclaim the Founder, as well as ownership of the Attack Titan, to Grisha, who takes it with him to Wal Maria, choosing to live in the Shiganshina district. During this time, Keith Shaddis is named the 12th commander of the Survey Corps. His reputation begins to enter freefall with each failure. He refuses to listen to Erwin Smith, who clearly knows what he's doing. An epidemic hits Shiganshina, and Grisha is credited with being the one to solve the situation, treating Carla, a woman who would later become his wife. Eren Jaeger is soon born. Year 837 through 844. Grisha Jaeger comes to learn that the Fritz family is the false royal family, recognizing the Reese family as the true royal family, as well as the location of the Reese family's chapel. He does not enter though, as he has second thoughts after the birth of his second son, Eren. Frida Reese inherits the Founder from her uncle, and Zeke inherits the Beast Titan from Tom Xarver, taking up the latter's glasses as a sentimental memento of his father figure, with whom he shared the dream of castrating all Eldians to ease them into a peaceful genocide he sees more like euthanization. 5 additional warriors are chosen for their Titans. Reiner Braun, who inherits the Armored Titan, Bertolt Hoover, who inherits the Colossal Titan, Annie Leonhardt, who inherits the Female Titan, Marcel Galliard, who inherits the Jaw Titan, and Piek Finger, who inherits the Cart Titan. They earn their stripes on the battlefield, eradicating the enemy with great efficiency. Levi is convinced to join the Survey Corps, and Mikasa Ackerman's family is slaughtered by human traffickers. Eren Jaeger rescues her and kills the traffickers himself, which spawns obsessive affection from Mikasa. She's then adopted by the Jaeger family. Zeke then commands 100 pure Titans and captures the enemy's capital in a legendary feat that cements him as one of, if not the greatest user of the Beast Titan in history. His unique abilities are considered similar to the Founding Titan, and this is secretly owed to his blood as a pure Eldian royal. Year 845 through 850. Erwin Smith takes the role of the 13th Regiment leader of the Survey Corps. The warriors land on Paradise Island. Marcel is eaten when Ymir finds out. Reiner takes command and continues the operation in the face of everyone wanting to quit. Eren picks firewood with Mikasa and dreams of becoming a scout. They protect Armin from bullies, who shows them a book about the outside world. Bertolt transforms into the Colossal Titan and kicks the walls in, letting Titans in to eat the citizens of Shiganshina, including Carla Jaeger. This spurs Eren to make an oath to kill all Titans. Reiner uses the armored titan to punch a hole in Wall Maria, compromising the whole wall. Grisha finally confronts the Reese family, however he cannot bring himself to kill them. However, future Eren spurs him on and forces him to slaughter everyone except for Rod Reese. Grisha claims the founding titan. He then returns to Wall Rose and ventures to the refugee camp and takes Eren to the side, gives him the key to the basement, and then transfers the attack titan over to him. Rod Reese would then find Alma, the mother of his illegitimate daughter Historia, and kills her in an attempt to reclaim his daughter and further his bloodline. She ends up taking the name Christina Lenz and joining the Cadet Corps. She would meet Amir, who would become her closest friend. A year after the fall of Shiganshina, the government sends the excess refugees to recapture Wall Maria, a suicide mission in which Armin's grandfather is killed. Eren, Mikasa, and Armin join the 104th Cadet Corps and begin training. Zeke discovers that he can create titans by injecting them with his spinal fluid. Year 850. The Cadet Corps graduate and are stationed in Trost. Suddenly, the Colossal Titan appears. The Cadet Corps attempt to regroup and strike back, but many are eaten, including Eren as he tried to save Armin. Inside the Titan's stomach, something clicks and Eren suddenly transforms into the Attack Titan. He proceeds to make use of his newfound abilities to free the supply depot that allows the cadets to make it over the wall. Eren is soon detained out of fear, but the commander of the garrison regiment, Pixis, steps in and stops them from killing him and listens to Armin's plot to seal up the wall as they begin an operation. It goes terribly at first as Eren loses control, however he regains it later after Armin helps him and they manage to seal the wall. Levi's squad then returns with the scout regiment and helps eradicate the remaining titans in Trost, marking the first victory of humanity within the walls against the titans. Eren is then brought before a military tribunal to face trial to see whether he is a help to humanity or a threat. Levi Ackerman convinced them to let him live and forces Eren to join his squad. Eren begins to train to use his powers, but finds they're unreliable if he doesn't know exactly what he wants to do with them. Annie, Reiner, and Bertholdt have Titans Sonny and Bean killed. The scouts begin to prepare for the 57th expedition outside of the walls. Erwin Smith suspects that the other Titan shifters besides Eren exist and that they're enemies. He tries to lure them out using Eren as bait, and the female Titan takes the bait. They lead her into the forest of giant trees and she's captured. However, she screams, calling other Titans to eat her. Annie escapes in the chaos and transforms again and attempts to capture Eren. She murders Levi's squad and defeats Eren in battle. Mikasa chases after and with Levi's help retakes him. The squad then returns to the walls defeated. Armin manages to uncover the enemy's identity and they lure Annie into a trap in the Stohess district of Walsina. She attempts to find Eren and escape, but Eren, after much duress, manages to transform and fights her. He overpowers her and defeats her. Annie places herself in suspended animation using Titan Crystal. However, the battle reveals that the walls are made up of Colossus Titans. Pastor Nick of the Church of the Walls commands that it be covered and Hanji Zoe interrogates him to no avail. The military police then has him assassinated. The Beast Titan then turns Rogako village into pure Titans and leads them through Wall Rose. The scouts that were detained for their part in the Stohess fiasco are then called back to duty to deal with this emerging threat. They attempt to find the hole in Wall Rose but fail to find any breach no matter how much they check. They end up holed in Castle Utgard for the night and are startled when Titans led by the Beast Titan begin to attack during the night, something that Titans don't do. As the castle falls, Ymir displays her secret by transforming into a Titan and defending the castle until reinforcements can arrive. The Titans are repelled by the forces of the scouts and Ymir is left in a bad state, yet still alive. Returning to the wall, they believe they're safe. A remorseful Reiner approaches Eren and reveals that he and Bertholdt are the armored and colossal Titans respectively, and asks him to come back with them to Marley so they can spare Paradise, but he refuses and Mikasa attacks them. A battle erupts on the wall between Bertholdt's Colossal and the scouts. Below, Eren's Attack Titan battles Reiner's Armored Titan. Eren gains the advantage through joint locks that shatter his armor, but in the end, Eren loses when Bertholdt falls down on top of them. The scouts are forced to wait for their horses as Reiner and Bertholdt escape with Eren and Ymir. They hide in the forest of giant trees, but the scouts quickly catch up. Reiner continues running and is caught up to by the scouts, but can't do much to stop them. The scouts try to convince Reiner and Bertholdt to stop kindly, but when that doesn't work, Armin begins to threaten Annie. In the end, Erwin leads a group of pure Titans to them, which stops Reiner, even though it costs Erwin his arm. They free Eren but are surrounded by Titans. After making contact with Dina Fritz's Titan, the Founder's powers are activated and Eren's roar commands the pure Titans to kill Dina and then kill Reiner, which forces Reiner to escape as the scouts also escape. In Shiganshina, Zeke awaits their report. Eren then wakes up in safety and vows to use his powers for the good of humanity. The scouts then realize the travesty in Rogako village and discover that the Titans are actually humans transformed against their will, which adds an extra layer of questionable morality to the spectrum as they question how right it is to kill these things as they're technically people now. Eren, Mikasa, and Armin then join the new Levi squad and continue training and experimenting with Eren's Titan. They're raided by the military police and the scouts flee. They head for Trost and discover Demo Reeves is in cahoots with the military police. Erwin Smith and Dot Pixis begin their conspiracy to bring down the government and replace it with a real monarch. Historia is that monarch, and Levi makes sure of it. In the Stohess district, Kenny Ackerman and his group of interior police capture Eren and Historia and take them to Rod Reese. The scouts fight to survive as they plot to bring the truth to light. They trick some military police officers to confess to a mass of people, and they print the story in the newspaper, clearing the scouts of any wrongdoings. Dot Pixis arrests the Nobles, and Commander-in-Chief Zachary tortures them until they give away the location where the Reese family is. Eren is chained up in the Reese Chapel where he's planned to be fed to Historia, but she refuses, and her father decides to do it instead. He transforms into a massive titan to bring the cave down on the surviving Kenny Ackerman and his squad, killing most and fatally burning Kenny. Rod's titan begins to move away from Eren towards Orvud district. Eren consumes a vial of armor serum to gain the ability to create titan hardening, which is how he and the scouts survive. They then race to Erwin, who comes up with a plan to kill the King of the Walls titan. They gather gunpowder. When it stands and reveals its faceless face, Eren throws the gunpowder in and blows it up, with the scouts targeting the falling chunks. Historia uses her special connection with her father to find and kill him. She then declares herself as the new Queen of the Walls and is crowned during a coronation ceremony. The scouts prepare for their expedition to Shiganshina, where they eat a fantastic meal and Sasha gets way too excited. They travel by night to avoid Titans and make it to Shiganshina by daybreak, where they discover a recently abandoned camp. They search for the warrior unit and find Reiner inside the walls. He transforms into the armored titan and searches for Eren as Eren begins to plug the walls. It's revealed to be a trap as the Beast Titan and Cart Titan reveal their presence along with countless other pure titans. They attempt to kill the horses to trap them there. Erwin commands a suicide charge as cover for Levi to kill the Beast Titan. Most of the scouts are killed save for Flock, who is unharmed, and Erwin Smith, who is mortally wounded. Bertholdt then begins destroying the area within the walls, but is stopped when Armin discovers that he can't move when generating heat, and uses up his Titan's muscle mass as fuel for the burn. Armin is fatally burned, but Eren manages to defeat Bertholdt by cutting him out of his Titan, and Reiner is defeated when Mikasa forces him to swallow a missile. Pieck escapes with Zeke and Reiner, but Bertholdt is captured and Levi must choose between Armin and Erwin. He chooses Armin, and Armin takes the Colossal Titan. After a brief time in the brig for disobeying orders, Armin, Eren, and Mikasa are let out and awarded medals for their valor. Upon kissing Historia's hand, Eren sees a vision of the future that scares him white. Sometime after this, it's revealed that Ymir was eaten and Porco Galliard inherited her Jaw Titan. The time frame of this remains vague. Year 851 through 854. Anti-Marleyan soldiers board ships to Paradise, and Eren changes visibly to his friends, becoming darker. The Anti-Marleyans bring technology and knowledge to the island and help update infrastructure. Historia gets pregnant at some point. They also convince the leadership to meet with the Ozumabitos of Hizuru, who offer to aid them in exchange for resources. Eren and the scouts board a ship headed for Marley. While there, they encounter refugees from the Mid-East War and have a grand time as Eren struggles with his decisions that he has to make. After attending a meeting in which Marley plans to declare war on Paradise, Eren steals his resolve. He disappears and ends up infiltrating Marley once more as a wounded veteran from a war named Kruger. During the Mid-East War, the warriors acknowledge their failure on Paradise and state that if it hadn't been for that, the Mid-East War would not have happened. Reiner drops into Fort Slava to make way for Zeke to sink the Mid-East Alliance's fleet, which he successfully does, marking the end of the war. The Tiber family then invites the world to the Liberio internment camp, where Willie Tiber reveals the truth of the Great Titan War and Karl Fritz's vow to the world. He villainizes Eren by saying that Eren can circumvent the vow. Eren, meanwhile, is watching this and secretly meets with Reiner, who begs for mercy but receives none. Eren destroys much of Liberio as Armin destroys Marley's fleets at the wharf. Eren manages to eat the Warhammer and capture Zeke. Sasha Browse sadly dies, and Falco and Gabi are captured. Eren is captured, as is Zeke, but the anti-Marleyan group known as the Jaegerists take over Paradise and make way for Eren and Zeke to make contact and complete the planned genocide. The warrior unit appears in Shiganshina, where Eren and Reiner are primed for their rematch. Zeke shows up and begins to aid him, but fakes his death when his Titan is killed. Eren mortally wounds Porco, who is then eaten by Falco Grice. Eren runs for Zeke, but has his head blown off by Gabi, and in the upset of the century, Zeke catches that baseball like a true champ. In that moment, both are transported to the paths where Zeke attempts to convince Eren, who has shown his true colors, to rejoin him. Eren doesn't and takes command, bringing out the founding Titan and beginning the rumbling. The scouts can do nothing, and Flock then takes command, offering Jean a place in the island's leadership, but Jean helps the warriors escape alongside the other scouts who have decided to fight Eren. They reach the port and free the Azumabitos and take their plane out to find Eren. After failing to convince him to stop, they decide to take him down by any means necessary. They drop in on him and are faced by a horde of the previous generation of Titans, including Tom Kasarver, Grisha Jaeger, Eren Kruger, and Berthold Hoover. Armin ends up swallowed by a Titan and then goes to the paths where he convinced Zeke to rebel against Eren. In response, Zeke allows Levi to cut off his head, and Armin uses his Colossal Titan to destroy the Founder's body. However, Eren turns into a Colossal Titan himself and begins to fight Armin. Armin punches a hole in Eren's teeth, and Mikasa proceeds to enter the mouth, finding the real Eren's head and kills him, ending the Founding Titan and the threat of the Titans forever by finally freeing Ymir from her millennia-long slavery with obsessive love. The battle ends, and over 80% of the world's population is killed by Eren. Historia has her baby. Marley and the world begin to seek peace with Eldia, but the Jaegerists are still in power. Mikasa buries Eren's head by their favorite tree where they had been sleeping during the first episode and chapter. Year 857. The warrior unit and the scouts stick together and become ambassadors to Marley and Paradise, and struggle with their impossible task of mending relations between Paradise and the rest of the world. Unknown point in the future. Mikasa gets married, presumably to Jean, and bears a child of her own. After a time skip of an unspecified amount of time, Paradise is caught in another war, and the tree where Eren's head was buried has now become a colossal tree exactly like the one where Ymir found the hallucigenia over 2,000 years ago. A child and his dog flee the war to the tree, presumably to start the endless cycle of hatred and war again anew. And that, my friends, is the entirety of the Attack on Titan timeline wrapped up in a nice little bow. I hope you all enjoyed it. I tried to remember everything I could. If my numbers are a little off or I forgot any important events, please be sure to note them in the comments below along with recommendations for future videos.
Did you enjoy our video? Well, then be sure to check out these other great videos from the Amagi, and make sure to subscribe and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos.